Hey everyone, Matt here from Docs Running, and today we're going to do a comparison of the top premium stability shoes on the market, including the ASICS Gel Kayano 31, Saucony Hurricane 24, the Brooks Glycerin GTS 21, and the Mizuno Wave Horizon 7. There's a lot of shoes to keep track of. So what we'll do is to do a little comparison of these, including specs and things like that, but really talk about the activities and things and people these shoes are going to be best for. So starting out with weight, and I'm going to start doing size 10 because I'm tired of trying to find all these different reports out there. So in my size 10, the ASICS Gel Kayano 31 and the Saucony Hurricane 24 are coming in at the same weight of 11.2 ounces, again for men's size 10, or about 316 grams. The Mizuno Wave Horizon is coming in as the heaviest of all these, coming in at 12.4 ounces for my size 10, or about 352 grams. And the Brooks Glycerin GTS 21 is the lightest of this group, coming in at 10.6 ounces, or about 300 grams. Stack heights are a little bit all over the place, but actually still somewhat similar. The Kayano 31 is the only one with a 10 millimeter drop, coming in at 40 millimeters in the heel, 30 in the forefoot. The Hurricane is the lowest drop of this entire group, coming in at 38 millimeters in the heel, 32 in the forefoot for a 6 millimeter drop. Glycerin GTS coming in at 38 millimeters in the heel, 28 in the forefoot for a 10 millimeter drop. And the Horizon 7 is coming in at 40 millimeters in the heel, 32 in the forefoot for, again, an 8 millimeter drop. So comparing these different shoes, they have a lot of things in common, right? They're much higher stack height. The uppers are a little bit thicker in all these, but how they ride and fit and who they're going to work best for is going to be a little bit different. Of these shoes, the shoes, in my opinion, that tends to have the best runability are going to be the Glycerin GTS 21 and the Saucony Hurricane 24. And the reason for this is the Glycerin 21 actually has the smoothest heel of this group, and I never thought I would say that about Brooks shoe. I'm just kidding. But it's actually really smooth and the lightest of the group. What makes this really unique is it's one of the few of this group that still has a medial post. So yes, still the guide rails here, but per Brooks, in my understanding, there is a little medial post, and you will definitely feel some medial arch support under your foot. The heel's a little bit stiffer. Forefoot is actually the most flexible of this entire group, but if you want a really smooth running shoe that's got some good stability in the heel with some medial support, the Glycerin GTS 21 is going to be an awesome one for running especially. The Hurricane's the other one because it's the only one of this group that actually has a super foam midsole. There is a large chunk of PWRRUN PB up top with PWRRUN frame underneath, so it does more of the stable neutral kind of frame concept where there's large sidewalls on each side and it kind of sits into that PWRRUN undercarriage, whatever you want to call that. The stability is not as apparent initially when just walking in the Hurricane, which in my mind is why it does a lot better as a running shoe, not as a walking shoe, but it has a lot of bounce underfoot. Definitely, as I said, the bounce of this, not the lightest. That's where the Glycerin GTS comes in, but it's definitely got the most bouncy ride. So if you really want a lot of pop underfoot with your stability shoe, this is going to be a good one for you. And you need to realize the stability becomes more apparent as the foam breaks in and as you start to compress. So initially when I was wearing the shoe, I actually didn't notice that as much. And part of it also is because unlike the nice rounded heel over here, which you can see, there's a medial flare, a medial bevel here where there's a lot of like flare on the lateral sides here. So those people that are like heavy posterior lateral heel strikers like me, this might feel a little clunky in the heel, but people that tend to roll out, have too much supination at the heel, this is actually a really good shoe and the best of this group. So if you bounce and you want to roll, and if you roll out too much, this is going to be the best one. But if you want the lightest and smoothest ride, in my opinion, of this group, and you need a little bit more medial support, the Glycerin GTS is going to be an awesome option for you. In terms of other shoes, best shoes for both walking and standing, the Kayano 31 and the Horizon 7 are going to be the best options. They have the widest soles of the group. They're also a little bit firmer. The other two are a little softer. These are a little firmer. The Horizon one's being a little bit firmer, but a little bit more resilient midsole, whereas the Kayano 31 really just has that really nice grounded feel. Both of them do really well, but I will say the Horizon 7 is the one that has more medial support. Again, like the Glycerin GTS, it actually also has a medial post in the form of this gray wave material right here, which you can feel from the heel all the way into the midfoot. So if you need that kind of longer length medial support, the Horizon 7 is going to be the better option. You will feel that whether you're standing, walking, or running. The Kayano is much better centered overall. So it's got really nice sidewalls on both sides, really wide base, and it really secures the foot. And yes, there's a little bit of medial pressure that I feel, but because there's no post, this material, the 4D guidance system, actually is a more resilient bouncy foam here. So when you land, if you go medial, it bounces you out of it. If you go lateral, there's sole flare and a sidewall to kind of keep you in the middle. So of all of these, I will say the Kayano 31 is the most guidance centered of this group. So if you are not sure which way you go, but you just need some stability or guidance, the Kayano 31 is going to be great for you, especially if you also want to use it for walking and standing and running, whereas the Horizon is going to be the firmer option with the more medial support of this group. I will also say, for whatever reason, the Kayano 31 is still just, it's better. It still just has a little bit of a clunky heel, kind of in my opinion, like the Hurricane. The Horizon and the Glycerin both have a little smoother heel, and that's probably because of how well this foam tends to collapse and compress. But they're still really, really good options. I will say what the Kayano 31 also does best at, it has the stiffest midsole of the group. So if you're someone with toe mobility issues, if you've got maybe a little hallux rigidus here, this is going to be the best because it's stiff and it's going to roll you forward with the best forefoot rocker of this group. So if that's something that you're wanting, this shoe is also going to be really, really good for this. In terms of fit, these all share something, is they're not the highest volume. So yes, they tend to fit a little bit wider, so not super narrow fits. I will say probably the Hurricane is probably going to work best for those with maybe a little bit more narrow feet, because the toe box is the most tapered of the group and the volume, I think, is the lowest of all of them. If you need a little bit more width, the shoes plural, that are going to work best for you is going to be either the Glycerin GTS or the Kayano 31. And why that is, because as you can see, that forefoot on the Glycerin GTS is actually pretty wide. Yes, the volume's a teeny bit lower, but if you need a little extra volume and a little extra width, that's where the Kayano 31 is going to win out of all these, because yes, the upper's a little stretchy. Yes, it's got a little extra volume. Yes, it's got a good amount of width throughout this. So the Glycerin GTX actually kind of narrows in the heel, so little teeny bit snugger in the heel, whereas the Kayano stays slightly wide throughout the length of this. So if you need a little bit more room throughout the length, the Kayano 31 is going to be the best of these. If you want just kind of a wider forefoot, the Glycerin GTS 21 is going to be the best option. So these are all really, really good. The last thing I will say is, in terms of durability, the two shoes that easily went out are going to be the Horizon 7. Sorry, as I'm grabbing this, the Horizon 7 and the Kayano 31. So I've got almost 100 miles on both these, about 60, 70 miles on each one. And there's like no wear on the outsole. They've done really, really well. These are very much tanks of shoes and will last for a long, long time. So if durability is your concern for walking or running, and I've done a lot of standing in these as well and teaching in them, these are going to be the best ones for you. So some really good shoes on the market. What's really classic for all these things is none of them are as high stability as premium stability shoes were in the market. They're all highly cushioned. They're all have maximal stack heights now, but the stability is more on the moderate end, with maybe the exception of the heel and the Glycerin GTS 21. But yeah, more moderate stability or guidance if you look at the Kayano and the Hurricane, and not as aggressive. So if you're very, very sensitive to stability and you need something more guidance, there's going to be an option for you. The Hurricane or the Kayano might be really, really good. If you're still that person that's searching for a medial post, which there's lots of people that do well with them, the Horizon 7 and the Glycerin GTS 21 still have those. The Glycerin GTS 21, you're going to feel it more in the heel. The Horizon 7, you're going to feel it more in the heel, midfoot, and maybe even a teeny bit in the forefoot, but not as much. So hopefully that helps. I'm also curious, as always, please leave your feedback in the comments below. Do you agree or disagree? Do you agree with my choice for the top ones? Is there any other ones that you would include? I know it's a little early also in the year to start talking about the top ones, but so far, these have been really, really good options. And I'm excited to see that there are still stability models staying on the market. All these companies, please keep these shoes. They do provide really good options for people. And as always, hope these videos help you make good decisions.